back
I want to welcome members to the meeting of the Atlantic Avenue Healthcare Holding Corporation. We have several matters on the agenda. Michael, will you take us through?
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. 5 items on the agenda, the first of which is the election of officers for Atlantic Avenue Healthcare Property Holding Corporation. The resolution is included in the packet, and there are no substantial changes, just the listing of the people who will be the officers in the event we need to transact any business in the next 12 months.
Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none, may I have a motion, please, to approve the resolution? Gerard, thank you. Second. Thank you very much, John. All in favor, please indicate with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Let's see. Next on the agenda is the adoption of the minutes from last year's meeting on April 11th, 2018, which are included in the packet for the board. If there are no further questions, all that requires is a resolution.
You all had a chance to review this. Any questions? Hearing none, may I have a motion, please, to approve the resolution? Thank you, Adrian. Is there a second? Thank you very much, Paul. All in favor, please indicate with aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Michael?
Third on the agenda is the annual review of the mission statement, performance measures, and metrics as required by the Public Authorities Law. That also is included in the booklet that's before the board, and there are no changes at all recommended by staff for this year, so that just requires a resolution as well. If there are no questions.
Quick question.
Go ahead.
When does this end?
This ends when we no longer.
With Interfaith.
Right.
Larry's going to take us through that later?
Larry's going to walk us through it, but
I'll withdraw
we
that.
have a little bit of a road ahead of us on this one, so there's no end in immediate sight.
Are there additional questions? There being none, may I have a motion, please, to approve the resolution? Tracy, thank you. Is there a second? Paul, thanks very much. All in favor, please indicate with aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Mike?
Next, in front of the board for annual review as well are the bylaws of the Atlantic Avenue subsidiary. Once again, an abbreviated version of the DASNY bylaws, and there are no changes recommended this year by staff.
And these bylaws are essentially the same as the North General.
They are essentially the same.
Are there questions? Hearing none, may I have a motion, please, to approve the bylaws? Thank you very much, Joe. Is there a second? Adrian, thank you. All in favor, please indicate with aye. Aye. Which takes us to Mr. Volk, President's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Atlantic Avenue, as you'll recall, when Interfaith Memorial Hospital, Interfaith Hospital Medical Center came out of bankruptcy, the bulk of its real estate was transferred to the Atlantic Avenue subsidiary, and its obligations on the debt that it owed to DASNY, both for bond debt and also for restructuring pool loans, which were used as debtor in possession financing while it was in bankruptcy. All of that debt was expunged. Interfaith no longer was obligated on that debt, but the Atlantic Avenue subsidiary became the owner of Interfaith's campus. And we have a triple net lease of that campus back to Interfaith, and Interfaith continues to operate the hospital and its clinics on that property. The Interfaith, in the course of the past year, Interfaith and Brookdale Hospital and Kingsbrook Medical Center have all joined together under the umbrella of a single member, which is the One Brooklyn Health System, which is the member of each of those 3 hospitals as well as some affiliated entities of those 3 hospitals. And the 3 hospitals, not surprisingly, continue to struggle financially, and they continue to be significantly supported by the state of New York. through special subsidies and also through various grant programs, including a significant $664 million grant award under the Kings County Transformation Grant. All of that means that the financial well-being of those entities, including Interfaith, is really a function of the support that they receive from the state. The original rent payments that Interfaith was scheduled to make to Atlantic Avenue was in the amount of $8 million a year, which approximated the capital reimbursement that Interfaith received in its Medicaid. And the idea was that all the way around, there would be no significant change in the cash implications for Interfaith, no significant change in the cash implications for the Medicaid system, and that the $8 million that would come in would cover a significant portion, although not all, of the obligations on Interfaith's bonds. Over the past few years, Interfaith's financial performance has gotten more and more challenging. And so we had, a year or so ago, agreed with Interfaith to a reduction in the amount of their monthly rent. And even that has come to the point where that is difficult for them to make. And realistically, if to the extent that we insist on their paying rent to us, which we can use to offset the state's obligations to make payments on the bonds, in the circle has to come from the state, because the state is the one that is net funding them. And so in conversation with both DOH and the Division of the Budget, to make sure everybody understands, we have effectively allowed them to continue to occupy the campus, although they are now delinquent in their rent. And so the amount of rent that they paid last year was used to offset the state's obligations, but it was insufficient to cover either the August 15th payment or the February 15th.
Are these deals memorialized somewhere? Like, is there some amendment to the lease that, okay, the rent is paragraph X says X, and now we're going to do this, or did we just sort of just look the other way?
It has always been with the expectation that the lease would be amended, yes. And so Interfaith continues to occupy its campus. One other thing that has happened in the past year is that the governor's Vital Brooklyn program, and as the president indicated earlier in this meeting, the budget contained an Article 7 bill which would authorize Atlantic Avenue to transfer certain portions of Interfaith's properties, none of which are located on the main campus of the hospital, some of their satellite properties. And those are to be transferred ultimately to developers to develop affordable housing. And out of that will also be some reserved space for Interfaith or other One Brooklyn Health entities to provide either clinical or administrative services. So that it is expected that probably within the next year that process will continue. Division of Homes and Community Renewal has issued requests for proposals. They have received proposals from developers for the various properties, and we will continue to work with them towards getting to the point of increasing the supply of affordable housing in Central Brooklyn. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Larry. Questions for Larry? Since there are no questions.
Just a quick same question. Impact on DASNY? Bottom line?
DASNY is not being impacted.
Thank you very much.
We're continuing to manage the issues. That's hilarious.
There being no further business to come before the members, may I have a motion, please, to adjourn? Thank you very much, John. Paul, thank you very much for the second. All in favor, please indicate with aye.
Aye.
Aye. We stand adjourned.
Thank you.